Hey, Rick here at Mathlight, and I want to talk to you about a concept that you can use in your classroom, and I've been doing this for many, many years in my math classrooms. And the concept is debating your cause. And I really enjoy it. I think it's great, and I think it teaches the kids some higher level thinking skills, and that's important. So what is debate your cause? Well, let me try to set it up with what happened in our classroom just this past Friday. It was our second day of school in pre-algebra, and so we got right into it, and I think, well, let me just get right to it, and I think you'll understand it. All right, so earlier in the period, we had taught about opposite numbers, and so things like 5 plus negative 5 equals 0, et cetera, negative 7 plus 7 equals 0, and so on and so forth. All right, so we had established opposite numbers. Next, we moved on to absolute value, and of course, I taught them, hey, absolute value is the distance a number is away from 0, and we did it with a number line, and I showed them on the number line, and all those kinds of things. And so we had an example problem, the absolute value of negative 3, and I asked the class and they said 3, no problem. We were good to go, we were great, and then we got to the part that I was excited about. So I asked them, all right, class, go ahead and write the answer to this problem. The absolute value of 3 is, and go ahead and write that on your paper. So they wrote it on their paper, and I like to do this a lot as well. I like to ask them on 3 to say their answer. Of course, that's a great tool because when you say, all right, class, on 3 out loud, tell me your answer, then those that are shy can actually give their answer because they're giving it in the midst of everyone else giving it and they're not isolated. So it's a great thing, and it gives me a chance to get an idea of what they're thinking. So I said that, hey, on 3, give me your answer. And I heard one boy very, very loudly say negative 3, and there were others, and I heard 3. So I heard negative 3 and 3, and that's exactly what I was expecting to hear. So perfect setup for debating your cause. All right, so I stopped and I said, I know I heard a negative 3. Did I hear any positive 3s? And some of the yes, okay, good. So I said, all right, let's take a vote. Let's find out who said negative 3 and who said positive 3. I said, okay, raise your hand if you said negative 3, and it was the majority. And then I said, okay, raise your hand if you said 3, and it was the minority. And I don't remember what the numbers were. It was something like 15 to 7 or something like that, maybe even 16 to 5, somewhere along those lines. And I thought, this is perfect for debating your cause. All right, so how do you debate your cause? This is what I said next. All right, so those of you that said the answer is negative 3, who would like to explain to the class why you think it's negative 3? And so, of course, that student that was very boisterous was the one that chose to give the answer of why it was negative 3. And guess what he gave? He gave the answer to opposite numbers. And here's the amazing thing. Right before we started these examples, I explained to the kids very clearly that opposite numbers and absolute value are different. And he gave the answer of opposite numbers, and that's why it's negative 3. Then, of course, I asked, all right, well, who said 3? Who would like to debate that cause? And another boy raised his hand, and he debated that cause, and he did a good job with it, because basically he said, well, absolute value is the distance a number is away from 0, and 3 is 3 away from 0, therefore I think the answer is 3. So how many do you think, I like to say converted, how many do you think converted to the correct answer from negative 3 to positive 3? Well, it wasn't everybody. And it wasn't. Matter of fact, it took a little bit before finally one person decided to convert, and then a second did. And so I said a few more things, and I said, now be careful. It's good to be steadfast in your beliefs, but you really have to examine both sides to determine whether you're right or not. And as we talked about it a little bit more, the snowball happened and a bunch of people converted. Well, the idea was this. The idea is to get them to think about the answer that they're giving. And not only that, to think about their own answer in respect to some evidence that might be given, and to get them to critically think about what they're doing. Debate your cause. I had fun with it in the classroom, and I'm telling you, you will as well. And it's a great tool for your kids, and it'll help them in their analytical skills. It'll help them really in life as well, because isn't life like that as well? We can have a mindset and think that we're thinking correctly along these lines and have this mindset, but we hear someone else explain the correct way, and it could trigger a thought to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong about that. I should be thinking this way. Debate your cause. Try it in your classroom. I think you'll find it's very, very effective. That's what we try to do here at Mathlight, give you some helps along those ways. things you can use in your own classroom.